So I've been on TV and radio already this week talking about Priti Patel's new strategy to challenge violence and harassment against women and girls. And on both occasions, the issue that I've been asked to focus on is whether or not we should make wolf whistling illegal. And to be honest, I think that's pretty insultory. This whole situation has arisen on the back of a lot of attention brought to the issue by the murder of Sarah Everard. And they've invited me on, somebody who has experienced rape, sexual harassment, sexual assault, stalking, death threats, all of these things. And the only question they want to ask is about whistling. They've picked like the most minimal issue on the subject. Now, I'm not a fan of whistling, and I do think that it shouldn't happen and we should be doing something about it. But what they're doing is they're relegating women's rights, women's freedoms and women's safety to a sort of, and also in the news kind of topic, like a little bit of extra fun. Well, there's two sides to the debate. There's not. Women getting raped and murdered is not the subject for a light and fluffy debate, and it's the subject of what this paper should be addressing and what we should be challenging. So let's talk about what's actually in the proposals. They're offering £5 million. I feel like Dr. Evil here. £5 million to challenge violence and harassment against women and girls in the UK. Now, there are about 35 million women and girls in the UK, so we're looking at about 30p each. I don't know what you intend to spend yours on, but you can't even get a second-class postage stamp and, write some stern words and send them to the Home Secretary. It's not enough to do anything that will tangibly impact any significant number of lives. They spent 37 billion on the track and trace system, and it still doesn't work, and it's still going wrong. And somehow they reckon that 5 million will be enough to end the harassment and violence that basically every single woman and girl in the UK has experienced or will experience in their lifetime. So that's ridiculous. She's going to put in a senior officer in charge of challenging violence against women and girls. Well, all that means is then we can have a tabloid funfair when it turns out that at some point in the not too distant past they've made all sorts of horrendous misogynistic comments or indeed harassed somebody themselves. They're going to create a map system where women can log where they've experienced harassment, and then other women can log on and see where that was. Right, so what are you supposed to do? Like plug it into Google Maps and then there'll be a new option. Would you like to use a high harassment route that's a little bit faster, or would you like to waste an extra 45 minutes going around the houses, creeping along walls and through gardens to avoid any known harassment hotspots? And then you should experience only mild levels of casual abuse on your way around. Or if you're in a blinding hurry, lube up and arm yourself with mace and run the gauntlet through the death valley of people screaming at you and following you to your destination. There shouldn't be any streets in the UK where that is a problem. It should be no streets. And the idea that women should have to check before they leave the house where they can and can't go, trust me, we already do. We already tell our friends where's a good place to go and where's a safer street to walk down. We've been doing that since time immemorial, and we don't need your help with it, especially not when it's coming out of £5 million, which isn't going to stretch to more than a few leaflets probably when it actually comes down to it. What else are they doing? Well, they're putting a police officer in nightclubs and bars to look out for people who seem to be behaving in a problematic way. But some creepy police officer sitting in the corner of a nightclub is exactly the person I'm going to spot and decide they're behaving in a problematic way. In fact, I'm pretty sure that 80% of women are going to end up wandering around a nightclub, finding the local sex offender and being like, mate, can I sit with you? There's a weird guy over there, keeps staring round and making notes in a little fold-over book. I'd feel a lot safer sitting with you. At least I know what your conviction was for. It's ridiculous. We're not going to solve anything. What we should be looking at is the real heart of the problem and the real serious issues that are out there. For instance, the rape conviction rate is currently at an all-time low. And one of the key reasons for that is that these days women who go and report rape will have their phones taken off them, unlocked, and every message they've ever sent, every email they've ever sent, every piece of data about them is then handed to the defence so that they can dig through for something that makes you look a bit slutty, or like perhaps you wanted to go on dates or you were choosing to go on dates with people, and then they'll use that against you in court, which is absolutely irrelevant, because if any useful information about your consent had been passed to the person who is alleged to have raped or assaulted you, then obviously they would have that information and they could give it to the defence. It's just systematic harassment, disbelieving of women. In response to my TV and radio appearances, I've had a series of messages on Twitter and other popular forums for abuse saying, well, I don't think anyone would whistle at you. And that's incredible because, first of all, not being believed is specifically one of the key issues that women are affected by. Secondly, the issue being minimised to whistling when I've just been talking about rape and sexual assault is another part of the issue, women's experiences being minimalised. And thirdly, if you didn't notice that that's what I said and that I wasn't talking about being whistled at, although I have been, and it wasn't a lot of fun, then you're not listening to women. And again, not listening to women is a third part of the problem. So you've sort of demonstrated the whole attitude that needs to change and be challenged. And I'm sorry, but £5 million and a creepy police officer in the corner of every nightclub isn't really going to cut the mustard.